What is up, everybody? Fresh off of a North Carolina victory at Castle Coliseum over Virginia Tech, this is the Postgame Podcast. I'm Joey Powell. We're brought to you by Johnny T-Shirt. All right, postgame coming at you. Tar Heels win in Blacksburg in a game that, as the guy I'm getting ready to bring on here said so eloquently before we started recording, they had to have. Tar Heels win 65-57. Their 8-point halftime lead holds on. Dewey Burke, uh, just start off. I got nothing. I don't even have a good segue question for you. I will let you start with your immediate reaction based on a Tar Heel win that, like you said, they had to have.
Had to have it, yeah, and it was an ugly game. It kind of reminds you of an old Big East game for those of us that are, at least in our late 30s or past there. Just kind of a scrappy, ugly, physical, not overly pretty game, but guys made shots when it was important. Brady carried us early, made a bunch of shots that settled us down, and even though we didn't play great in the first half, we had a little spurt there. I think it was a 17-6 run. They got us up by 8 and gave us a little breathing room. And that was what we needed, because it never really got any closer than, I think, 4 or 5 in the second half, and they held them off. Now, Virginia Tech helped. They didn't shoot the ball well. And especially early in the first half, when we did the second half, when we did stretch it to 10 or 12, they missed a lot of open shots. And so they had a hand in it too. But we made key plays. Caleb made throws down the stretch, made some big shots as well. Mondo got going in the second half. We had good rim protection from Mondo as well. And look, we did just enough.
Yeah, I love you pointing that out, because Armando Bacot becoming a rim protector, I don't think was anything that was foreseen by anybody around this program, but it's been a really, really nice addition. Sitting here looking at the box score right now, North Carolina has 4 starters finishing double figures. The 5th guy being Leaky Black, who, while he only scored 5, was very timely with some of his contributions in the second half. I think the biggest thing, though, that you could point to is that North Carolina did not allow the best three-point shooting team in the conference to shoot well from behind the arc. Virginia Tech, while they missed some open looks, finished 5 for 26 behind the three-point line. That's under 20%. Do you have any insight as to what maybe was better about that? I did see the team switching screens a little more up top. Did you see anything with your eyes that maybe explains why the three-point defense was so much better tonight than it was against Pittsburgh?
There were a couple possessions late if you remember the possession where Leaky got the charge late in the second half, then we came down and we had a really good defensive possession, ended in a missed 3 for them. But they actually had a couple times on the perimeter where they could have shot a semi-contested 3 on that possession. RJ had a great closeout and then didn't allow penetration. He swung it. Armando had a great closeout, didn't allow penetration. They ended up taking a 4 shot. So I thought we were just a little bit more attentive on that end of the ball. Our rotations were crisp. And so we were there on the catch and closed out under control. And it wasn't that we were late on the arrival, so the guy had an open look, or if we were getting there on time, that we closed out poorly and it led to a blow by. We did the little things well, sort of the defensive stations, the principles that we do every day or did every day in the past. And then Virginia Tech missed some good ones. But I did think that down the stretch, we had a couple good defensive possessions there in a row, and we finished the possession with a box out, which is obviously a big piece. Very few second looks for them. And, from that, basically under 5 minutes, we controlled the pace. And even though we didn't get a lot of field goals in that stretch, we ran the clock down and made it a limited possession game with a lead of 7-9, and then Caleb made free throws. So like I've said a couple of times, I do think Virginia Tech had something to do with it. They missed some open looks, more so in the earlier part of the second half, but that specific possession I'm talking about and a couple others, they were very, very disciplined. And when you're disciplined on defense, it leads to the other team having to take contested shots, and they're not going to make contested ones that often.
Yep. Anytime you can have your offense be an additional defender for you, I think good things are going to happen. Again, looking at the box score, you see 14 points from Brady Manick, and he was, as you said, all the Tar Heels had early in the game. But I'm looking at a guy that played 37 minutes, and in the second half, I promise you, it looked like he was all but carrying around an O2 tank out there on the floor. What's your impression of a guy like that? That's a fifth year player, came in for his grad transfer year. He's just given this team so much not just offensively, but I mean, he played some strong defense and had some nice rebounds at very timely moments in the second half.
He did, and he plays really. And you're never going to question Brady's effort. He has certain limitations. He's a below the rim player for sure, but man, can he really shoot at that catch and shoot that he had right in front of the Virginia Tech bench. That's as pure as any pure shooter is going to catch and rip one, as you're going to see. Made a timely floater there at the end where he made the ball fake and then made the little floater. So he's been huge for us and a welcome surprise on a team that just doesn't get baskets easily. We don't get in transition nearly enough, but today wasn't a game for that because of the way Virginia Tech kind of muddied it up on purpose. It was a game in the 50s and 60s. And so to have a stretch four like him, and that's also not afraid to pull it. I mean, it's funny. Tommy and I have talked for years now. I've been doing this a long time. When our best shooters weren't willing to shoot it almost every time they had a glimmer, it used to drive us crazy. We used to talk about that with Marcus Page, with Bill Berry, with Cam Johnson. Brady does not have a problem. He is not shy. And you've got to think about the fact that when we struggled a little bit there in the middle of the second half, it was because we were turning the ball over. And what I think people need to understand is sometimes a contested Brady Manic three, even if it doesn't look like a great shot, if we're going through a stretch where we're turning the ball over, we would sure take that, because what can happen is Brady could either make it, and then there's a good chance that Armando gets offensive rebound. And so he's a very willing shooter, which is an underrated mental skill in my view. Not everybody has that, even if you're a great shooter. Marcus Page was the one that I'll never forgive for. He's such a quality kid, and I think wanted to always make the right play on behalf of Coach Williams and get his teammates involved. That's a guy I think could have shot 300 more threes in his career, as good as he was. But again, Brady, not bashful.
Another player I want to call out, and Caleb Love had a really good stat line, 21 points, 7 assists and just 2 turnovers after, again, I can't get my head around this. And I know you and Tommy have talked about it, but I'm going to throw it to you again. Caleb Love, after when he makes a basket early and how engaged he is.
The first one.
And how engaged he is defensively and everywhere else on the court, even distributing the ball, is so different than Caleb, who doesn't make his first 1 or 2 shots. How do you explain that?
I can't. I don't have any way to. It's just there's got to be eventually some maturity that is reached, that it's not always about your first couple shots and seeing the ball go through the basket. He's so athletic. He's so gifted. His ability to get to the rim. He's shown us in various games, not every game, but various games, his ability to distribute. He obviously can shoot the ball from the perimeter, off the step back, off the bounce. He's improving on the pick and roll. And when he wants to be, he can be a real pain guarding the basketball for the other team to deal with. But it's just not consistent. It's very hard to put your finger on it. I was thinking about it during the game. I was trying to remember what a sophomore Raymond Felton was like, and a sophomore Ty Lawson was like, and a sophomore Kendall Marshall or a sophomore Joel Berry. And I think it's fair to say, and I'll get called out on the message boards if I'm wrong, but I think all those guys by their sophomore year were much more consistent. Joel Berry as a sophomore played in the Final Four. Ty Lawson as a sophomore played in the Final Four. Kendall Marshall as a sophomore probably would have played in the Final Four. And then obviously Raymond was dealing with a new coach at that point, but I was there for that on JV, and Raymond Felton played harder than anybody I ever saw until Tyler, even on that year that we weren't real good in coach's first season. So I don't know. It's hard to put your finger on it for someone with so many physical gifts, but when he's good, he's really good.
And he showed in the first half when North Carolina made their run to really take the lead. They were running some horn sets, kind of double high screen action, and he and RJ Davis were getting downhill quickly, and there was nothing Virginia Tech could do to stop them, even when they had decent defense. So it's things like that, I think, that are maddening to the fans, and are probably maddening to this coaching staff as well. All right, last thing, and I'll let you get out of here. Elephant in the room time, man. After the game against Pittsburgh, the Tar Heels continued to do what they've done all year, which is be inconsistent. And they come out and after dropping an inexplicable game to Pittsburgh at home, they get their first Q1 win on the year in Castle Coliseum in a raucous environment. I can't say enough. I wasn't there, obviously, but you could hear on the TV broadcast.
It's a brutal place to play. It's a brutal place to play.
Yeah. So this Tar Heel team, after Wednesday and now today, where is your head when you assess them as a whole?
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's for a team to play as poorly as we did at home against Pitt. It was quite demoralizing. You saw that on Coach Davis's face, and he questioned some things about his kids publicly for the first time. And then they go and get a really, truly a quality road win. I know Virginia Tech's record isn't indicative maybe of that, but as you said, it's a quad one win on the road on a Saturday when the student body had plenty of time to get ready. And we went in there and got a win. The team I played on, when we went in there, we lost, right? We lost there in 2007 on a team that was, arguably a basket or two away from the Final Four and a bunch of guys that eventually cut down the nets.
Yeah,
we went in there and lost. So I don't know what to tell you other than, as people have been asking me similar questions, it feels like the right finish of this season would be for us to go into Cameron and win. I know we got a couple more before that, but it just feels like that's something that this team just might do.
Just because it's so outlandish. I agree with you.
Yeah, that they might on Krzyzewski's last game at Cameron, they might go in there and Caleb goes off for 30 and we go over there and win. But who knows? How do you predict that? I mean, I hope nobody's betting money on this team because I don't know how you predict it.
It's tough, I'm sure. Okay, last question. I lied. I'm going to give you one more. Short turnaround, yet Louisville coming in the Smith Center on Monday. What are the next 48 hours going to look like for this team? I mean, I'm assuming they probably just have film tomorrow and don't practice. I don't know. When I see how many 30 plus minutes they played, what do you expect the next until Monday night? What do you expect to look like?
Yeah, a lot of recovery work, maybe a little running and shooting tomorrow. Not like conditioning, running. When I say that, run and shoot is nomenclature within the program. They'll just get loose, get up and down a little bit, but no 5-on-5, nothing live. Everybody should hopefully be getting in the cold tub when they get back to Chapel Hill today. And as you said, watch a little bit of film on Virginia Tech and then switch your focus to Louisville, who obviously is having a tough season, but still has athletes and players. And we have no margin for error or ability to take anyone lightly, especially the way we played the last time at the Smith Center. So quick turnaround, but I don't worry about that. I know you mentioned Brady looked tired, but he'll be fine. He's 22, 23. They'll be ready to go. And after getting that quad one win, you sure hate to lose one at home. So they need to take care of business in these next couple, and then maybe they will go into Cameron and get one.
Who knows? Well, DB, we appreciate you being consistent, man. I'm calling everybody by their first initials now in honor of Corey Alexander because apparently he just figured out the West Durham's initials are WD because that's all he said all day. So I'm going to call you DB. Yeah, I'm going to call you DB 1,000 times now. But Dewey, I appreciate you joining the show, man. You always bring some really good insight, having been in that locker room and having been the guy wearing the jersey before. I appreciate what you bring to the table. We'll talk at you sometime down the road. But for Dewey Burke, I'm Joey Powell. This has been the Postgame here on InsideCarolina.com. We'll talk to you soon.